One of the top things that we hear from our clients, whether it's doing leadership coaching, executive coaching, or when we're working with teams, is a frustration around accountability. And the accountability that is oftentimes lacking, and there's finger pointing, like if only somebody would do something differently, and that I have to do all the work. It's easier. I can't delegate because I know it'll be done right if I do it myself. This is what we're talking about today, is how do you design team accountability and raise the chances that you don't have to do it all yourself and that your team will show up and you can increase the accountability. And we're going to give you 3 steps to be able to take away and apply immediately when you leave here today.
And accountability is one of those words that can have lots of different definitions. Lots of people mean different things when they look at accountability. So you can see here on the screen just different elements of accountability, ranging from people taking responsibility for their own actions. Oftentimes when we talk to teams, people are like, I just want people to own what they are doing and recognize the impact that they're having. Accountability can also mean transparency and status checks. I hesitate to delegate anything because if I just delegate it, then I don't know what's happening. And that status check isn't there anymore. Accountability can mean that you're going to have to justify some choices that you made, being accountable for your actions and recognizing there, especially in the workplace, there are multiple different choices that can be made at any given time. Can you justify what choices that you're making? Also, accountability can mean, are you accountable to the team, to the organizations? Are you committed to those overall goals? And then finally, the idea of consequences. This is what we hear most often when we hear about accountability and different definitions of holding people accountable when they mess up, if you will. It's not even always consequences for positive performance. And so we talk about these different elements because if accountability is only seen as punitive, you're missing a chance with your team to really explore what accountability looks like. And so part of this is looking at a mindset shift, moving from this idea of accountability of when something goes wrong, I need to hold people accountable, and instead look at it as designing accountability before something needs to happen. And so the tool that we are looking at here today is this idea of LAP accountability. And this is one of our thoughtfully fit team tools that teams can use to design accountability on any project at any level, whether it's a manager working with a direct report, direct reports working together, somebody managing up with their own manager. These 3 steps can help design that accountability at the start of the project. Let me say that again. You got to do this at the start of the project. And so step 1 of the LAP is the L is to lay out expectations and what success looks like. This is really the most critical step to get really clear on what is success. What's important about this?
And when you are laying out your expectations, this step is often what we find is missing. When so you delegate something and then it comes back and it's like, this isn't what I wanted. I knew it. I should have just done it myself. When you're doing LAP accountability, you're laying out the expectations of what does this look like if it's done and it's done well. What is a home run? And what's a strikeout? Like, what do I not want? If this is done, this is what it does not look like. What's important about this? What are some of those benchmarks that we want to design along the way to be able to know that we are on track? Because if you lay out those expectations and the benchmarks, you have an opportunity to know before the deadline, that it's a little bit off track. And what do we need to do to get back on track?
And so step 2 then is to assess progress along the way. And so again, what we often see with teams is it's Monday, I'm giving you a task that's due on Friday. Friday comes, the deadline wasn't met or standards weren't exceeded or even met. And so this step 2 is the in-between step, if you will. And so we lay out the expectations, and then the A is to assess that progress and give feedback along the way. The opportunity here is to check in what's going well, what's not going well, what's maybe getting in the way, what's not measuring up, what other priorities have maybe gotten in the way that is threatening the outcome that we're looking for. Or maybe what new information do we have that we didn't have when we laid it out at the front. So that check-in might be a meeting, might be an email, might be a phone call, and there might be multiple check-ins depending on the project. Step 3 then is to pinpoint successes and misses. This is when we schedule time to talk about at the end of the project what went well and what do we want to do differently next time. Oftentimes when teams are successful and projects, nothing fell apart, nothing was bad per se, teams just skip over this step and miss that chance to lock in what went well. Sometimes teams often skip over this step if they just even don't want to talk about what didn't go well. And so what either side of the spectrum it is, there's an opportunity to talk about both. Not from a sense of I'm evaluating and assigning blame for what happened wrong this time, but what do we want to make sure happens next time or doesn't happen next time? And then this is the idea of lap accountability. You might need to do multiple laps.
As a matter of fact, not only might you need to, you probably will need to. As you know, if you watch any of our Thoughtfully Fit videos, in order to be a thoughtfully fit leader and to have a thoughtfully fit team, you need to train and practice. And just like you can't get abs of steel by doing one sit-up, or you can't win the track meet by just training one lap, the same way here, once you have, when we were doing this with a recent team we were working with, they were talking about how to use lap accountability. And one said, in our budgeting process, we have our annual budgeting process. Well, it may be that you have a lap to first reassess what did the budget look like from last year? Where did we meet the mark? What was that? Then you do another lap for identifying what are our goals. And you do another lap once you have met that quarterly benchmark. So the whole goal is that it's not a one and done, that you keep laying out expectations, assessing your progress, and then pinpointing what's working and what's not working, and repeat in order to get the greatest success. So hopefully this is valuable for you today, and you can take it and use it immediately. And if you want to bring in our team to do a training on lap accountability with your team, or to look at and explore any of our Thoughtfully Fit team tools, reach out to us. This is what we do. This is what we love to do. We create high-performing people and teams. So explore what it might look like and let us know how we can help you to reach peak performance. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care, everybody.